Hello everybody, Mike, aka the Magica13, here with episode 39 of the Out of This World series. We are pretty much finished with Eve, so all we have to do is wait for the transfer window to arrive for a return to Jool / Kerbin. Kerbin is obviously our final target, but we have to get to Jool first. So after that arrives, we set up a maneuver node. My phone goes off. It's my bank, apparently. And we set up a maneuver node to get a kind of low Jool intersection thing transfer, yeah. The purpose of that is we are going to be doing a Jool aero braking to a slower velocity and then getting an intercept with Kerbin. That way we're not going stupidly fast when we run into Kerbin. That is the hope, at least. We'll see how that actually works out. But Tomfred Kerbin is not going to be hanging out in the lab the whole time all by himself. During the transfer, he will be assisting Maxim in the command pod. However, Maxim will be the pilot of this mission. And it is now time to start our burn. It's a 5-minute burn almost. I cut all of that out for you. However, I myself had to do it. Luckily only once, because I did run into at least 3 or 4 different crashes while recording this video. So that's partly the reason why it's so short. I couldn't get a whole lot done because I had to keep restarting. And it was very, very frustrating. So yeah, this is only like a 9-minute video altogether, and it took me several hours to record. But we have our Jool encounter. We now slip away from the pool of Eve. No longer are we in communication with the satellites there. However, they are still communicating with Kerbin and will continue communicating with Kerbin, even though there's really no reason. We just wait for the nav ball to flip, indicating that we've left Eve's sphere of influence, which should be happening now. There we go. The traditional nav ball flip, if you don't know, happens whenever you change spheres of influence because the nav ball is based on the body you are orbiting. The brownish, reddish region is, if you go point directly in the center of that, you are pointed headfirst down into the body that you are orbiting, and if you're in the blue, you're putting it up towards the sky. So this here is Gilly. We luckily got to witness it going around the sun while we were doing our transfer from Jool, or from Eve to Jool. Ike is also a comet in the Alternis universe, and frankly, they're both very, very cool. Well, at least they're very awesome. I suppose they're probably pretty cool because they don't have atmospheres, but atmospheres are kind of required for, retaining heat. Speaking of atmospheres and heat, Jool's atmosphere, which we are now entering at about 300 kilometers, has ripped off our generators. So unfortunately, we will not be keeping this aero braking pass. But we will continue through with it in order to see where this puts us so that we don't actually have to waste all this time. You may notice, though, we really don't have much in terms of G's on the G meter right now. Mind you, we haven't really entered the atmosphere a whole lot yet, but we are past the vacuum stage. There are flames now, and those radiators are still going with us. You would think that I am using FAR. You would think that one of us would be going faster. And you'll notice the maneuver node is still at 0.0, and if you've ever done an aero braking before and you have a null maneuver node like that, you'll notice it will actually start increasing the meters per second counter, and that's not happening. Well, it just changed a little bit, but that might be because we just lost that antenna. The other one is slowly drifting away, but yeah, and it really seems like there's not really any forces acting on us, and you'll notice the timer for when we leave Jool's sphere of influence is still 3 days, 5 hours, 3 minutes throughout this entire process. Explosions start happening right when we hit about 200 kilometers, and our G meter kicks up. It flips us around, and I do believe we start losing things now. Oh, thank you, Maneuver Node. Very helpful. Yes. Disconnect happening now. There goes the main ship away from the command pod. We switch to the command pod because that's frankly slightly more important to us. And slowing down substantially. Yeah, so weird bug with Alternis, which is part of the reason I'm not going to keep using it in the future. Even if you extend the atmosphere higher than 200 kilometers, the game does not register it in terms of forces for whatever reason until you hit about... Checking the video again, it was at like 200 kilometers and like 100 meters added onto that. It was when it started doing things, but yeah, we're not going to keep that. We are going to, just to verify, because I'm not totally positive that at this point that was actually the case. We do another aero braking, this time at 216 kilometers. Yeah, our velocity is not changing. If anything, it was going up. It's decreasing now, probably because we're spinning. But there's really not much of anything going on here. So I'm going to try using the Oberth effect to burn now and have it be very efficient, because frankly we're next to a very large, very gravity heavy object, aka a planet, aka Jool. So it would be fairly efficient right now, but you'll notice those explosions. I forgot to account for the fact that we're still technically receiving reentry heating, even if we aren't hitting the atmosphere. So the engines explode. Since that's really not going to work, even going anywhere below 200 kilometers, we're going to have issues. So I decide maybe we'll just shoot straight for Kerbin. We'll see how that works. Maybe we won't be going 8 kilometers per second. Maybe we will. So try this out. We actually end up only going almost 4 kilometers per second, which is kind of a lot. But this ship is not capable of landing. So we are only going to be doing an aero braking pass, and this is at 4 times time acceleration in post-processing, because it takes a little while. We do get pretty decent amount of reentry heating. I mean, look at that glow on everything. That's frankly pretty awesome. I managed to keep the heat shield going forward for most of the time, at least all the time that counted. So this isn't like when I was entering Eve and I immediately flipped around and had everything get all destroyed. Yeah, nothing falls off, luckily. And we actually get a decent orbit. I just make some small changes to get it equatorial, and then that's pretty much it. Also, to get it out of the atmosphere. That's honestly all I did for this episode. I really didn't have a whole lot of time to get anything done. There will be one more episode, and then that'll be it for the series. I'll have more news about the series and all that in the next episode. Until then, thank you all for watching. I will see you all next time.